Today we're going to be talking about gear sets in Once Human and how you can create your perfect build and become quite OP in this game. The gear sets are really important and make a huge difference to your playstyle, whatever that preference is. If you do find this video useful and informative, please do drop me a like and a subscribe down below. Both of those things are massively appreciated, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So first things first, when you load up the game, you might not have all the blueprints that you can see on my screen right now. You do start off with one or two helmets, tops, bottoms, gloves, shoes and face masks. And the ways of getting these items are either by through crafting them on a crafting table like you can see here, or by obtaining them in the wild. Now if you do pick them up as loot, this does have a slight disadvantage in the fact that you can't actually repair pieces that you've picked up right now. Whereas if you actually craft things, of course, you can then repair them, which means that these are slightly better. Now, when you're going around the world, what you will notice, if you press I and go into your Blueprints tab and head over to the Armor Blueprints section, you will actually gather some of these blueprints, and it doesn't always give you the little notification that the weapons one is giving me right now to say I've got this new shotgun. If you go over it, obviously, then you can fuse and you can actually unlock this. Sometimes on the armor one, there is stuff available, but it isn't showing up. So be sure to check on this, see what you have and haven't got, especially if you've used the wish machine, which is the little sort of arcade machine you can build in your base. If you've used this, often you will get some of the armor pieces and fragments unlocked, and it doesn't always notify you about that right now, so do check that screen. But essentially what you can do is pick up each of these different pieces, and if you head into this blueprints menu, it will show you how you can obtain them. So if there's any specific one that you want, if you hover over it, it will tell you the stats that it has and also the set effect just in the bottom half of that pop-up window there. And that is what we're going to be covering today. Now of course, if you want to know how to get them, there is literally a section that says how to get, and this is obtained from mystical treasures discovered from exploring the Iron River. These ones are from the wish machine, the wish machine, the wish machine, etc. Most of these gold ones are from the wish machine. Now it's worth noting that some of them aren't yet available, because if you actually go into the wish machine, you can't unlock all of the scenarios yet. You can only unlock the first one. So I imagine some of these stuff, like you can see here, these helmets and the shorts, and then there's some here which is the boots and the mask. Those are obviously not quite available just yet. They're going to open up with further segments of the season, so as the weeks progress, you're going to be able to access those. So with that preamble out the way of how you can actually get on top of getting these blueprints and where you can find them and how to find them and all that good stuff, what we're now looking at is what the armor sets actually are. So the raid stuff is one set that you get pretty early on, as well as the blast set here. Then obviously you also start with the rustic hats and the rustic set in general. Now the other thing I've managed to pick up here is the scout hood. You probably have some other stuff if you've played on the server for a while, but these are the ones that you generally get. Now if you hover over these, it doesn't matter which piece you hover over, you can actually see what the set effects are. So for example, the raid set here is a gathering speed of plus 15%, max load of plus 20 if you have 2 or more pieces equipped. When you equip a third piece, when the load is over 80, damage taken is minus 10%, and weapon tactical item damage is plus 20%, and if you have 4 pieces of raid gear equipped, the stamina cost is minus 30% when gliding and rolling. So you can quickly see here how you're going to be able to build up a set. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can put as many of the pieces on from the same set that you have unlocked, and that way you can actually get access to those perks when you have the correct amount equipped. Now, for those of the eagle-eyed viewers out there, you will notice you have 6 armor slots and only 4 in one set. So this means you can, of course, mix and match things. You could have 2, 2, 2. You could have 3 and 3. You could have 4 and 2. You could have, 1, 1, 1, 3, or vice versa. Whatever the case may be, you can mix and match. Now, one thing that is worth noting with this is that you actually have some items, like, for example, the Mayfly goggles here. These can be obtained from mystical treasures discovered from exploring the Iron River. So you can get these right now. I've got them on my PvE server. But you'll see here they have a key unique effect, which is Power Surge. And this is trigger count plus 1 and Power Surge damage minus 30%. So some of them have unique abilities. Of course, that will then take up a slot, which means you can't put it towards an armor set. But this is where you can still get 4, and you could have space for 2 unique effect items as well. Another unique effect item is the Beret Frag here. This one gives shrapnel hit part plus 1. This gas mask hood frag, after triggering Power Surge crit rate plus 35% for 3 seconds. so on and so forth with these items. Now the ones that have a unique effect are indicated by this kind of rainbowy glow in the top right where the jigsaw piece currently is for the fuse amount. This indicates that it's got a unique effect, and if they haven't got that little glow, that means they are part of a set. So you can go over these and kind of have a look at which ones you want, what sets you kind of like the look of, and what you kind of want to work towards, and obviously how then you would go about obtaining them. Now if we move on to the tops here, because I've got quite a few tops on this server, you can see I've got one here with a Frost Vortex key effect, but then I've got a Raid top, a Blast top, a Scout top, a Test Subject top, obviously we all spawn with that one, and the Rustic jacket. Now, right now, I'm running 4 pieces of the Rustic set. This is because it gives me extra movement speed, it gives me extra melee damage, extra XP, and 20% gathering speed up at the top there with 4 pieces. Now, this is, I think, probably one of the better sets for clearing out the areas around the map, all of the different POIs, the Rustic set, because obviously the extra movement speed is just generally nice to have. Melee damage, melee is going to be very, very powerful early game. Probably you have all realised this by now, but it's very, very useful to have. Extra HP, obviously you can't go amiss with that, and the gathering speed, you're going to be gathering a ton of stuff during your progression in this game, so it's all nice to have. Now you will notice that the base stats of this Rustic jacket, if we go up to something like the Raid top here, you'll see that the HP is more on this one, as well as the pollution resistance. They're actually the same, but the PSI intensity is a little more by base default as well on the Raid top. And then if we go up to this Frost tactical vest, again you'll see more HP and more PSI intensity. So the rarity of the item does make a difference to the base stats. Of course, that is without mods on, and it's without calibration as well. So mainly you want to focus on kind of the stat benefits. Now in terms of what I'm wearing, obviously you can see I've got the 4 Rustic pieces here. I've then thrown on the Blast pieces, and what I've done with this is gone for 2 of these pieces, as it gives me heavy melee damage plus 20% and torso damage reduction of plus 12%. So for me, this is really good. If I wanted to go more into a melee build, I would probably fully go into the Blast set here, because you can see that the 3rd perk there is after killing an enemy with a melee attack, plus 25% damage for the next melee attack within 5 seconds, and melee swing speed of plus 15%. And then the 4th perk would be melee kill an enemy to instantly recover 30 stamina and increase movement speed by 20% for 2 seconds. So this would actually be a really good melee build if you like, and you could still have 2 pieces from the Rustic set on to get that melee damage of plus 15% and the movement speed there, but you would be missing out on the HP and the gathering speed. So this is a more all-round set for me right now. Now there is also the Scout set. This one goes into HP, weapon damage, and weapon damage when not spotted by enemies, as well as movement speed and stamina recovery when health is lower than 50%. It's kind of more like an assassin or stealthy style of gameplay, or maybe with someone that focuses more on weapons, but it is a really nice set to have. So what I would recommend is go through the ones that you have unlocked, or some of the ones that you might like to have a look at. Have a look around them, see what you'd like to get, and go about obtaining them, because they are going to allow you to make a really, really nice build. Like I mentioned, specifically for me, I'm going for this Rustic / Blast top, but if I want to lean more into melee, I'll go for Blast. If I want to lean more into weapon damage, I'd probably go for the Scout set, and so on and so forth, so you can actually get this going really well. Now, when we're talking about gear, it's really important to just touch on the modifications. So when you go into your mods interface, the PC keybind for this is right-clicking on an item that you've got equipped, and then going into the mods, and you can look at what you've got here. All of these, of course, will add to the build. These are separate from the item sets themselves, but it's worth noting that you can obviously put these on every type of gear. So you've got things like the melee amplifiers, you've got life force boost, you've got crit damage increase. What we can actually do is go ahead and equip one of these, and we can enhance it as well. So you'll see here now that we have a 16.8% damage increase to melee, which again, if I'm going for a melee build, I can add these in. Although they're not strictly part of the item sets, I did feel like this was necessary to add in there. And of course, if you want to further improve your items, you can go into the Calibrate tab, go over to the armor slots, and start to calibrate some of these pieces. And what that will do, if you calibrate them, you'll see here you get the increase to HP and to PSI intensity. So if we go ahead and level this one up, I'll show you guys what it ends up being. And you can see there all the way up to 430 and 31. Now it's worth noting as well that once you upgrade an item and then dismantle it, you will get some of the parts back, and if you've used materials to calibrate it, so things like your cloth or your steel, you will get some of those back when you disassemble the item at the end as well, so you're not completely losing them, as well as any stardust source that you've used for that as well. Now finally, just to clear up for anybody that is wondering, the cosmetics in the game have absolutely no effect on your items, so if you've got a full set on and you change the cosmetic of it, it's not going to make a difference other than the cosmetic appearance. They've got no stat differences and they've got no differences to advantages or anything like that. It is literally just appearance, so I thought it's worth touching on at the end here just to make sure everybody is at sound peace of mind with that you're not going to get an advantage from any cosmetics. It's literally just the armor that is in the game and those set bonuses that come with it. Hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. Hopefully it helps you to understand how the armor sets work in Once Human, and you can take advantage of these to make your perfect build and become nice and OP early on in the game and as we progress through the season. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do leave me a like and a subscribe down below. Both of those things are massively appreciated, and I will catch you again very, very shortly in a brand new upload. Take care and peace.